What's going on, everyone? Quick update on the all-wheel drive conversion kit that I'm designing. It's a complete plug-and-play kit allowing you to add a 750 watt geared hub motor to the front of your bike, creating all-wheel drive, giving you dramatic increase in acceleration and hill climb power. And if you saw my last video, I added my kit onto the Wired Freedom, kind of showed you how it was set up, the components that you get, the performance result from adding it. And I asked if you guys would be interested in something like that. And there was quite a bit of interest. People saying, yes, I want this, like sign me up, count me in. People emailing me saying, even if you decide not to sell this, will you build one just for me? So I feel like the interest is out there. I'm gonna move things forward and get these kits built. Hopefully start taking orders soon. I want everyone that wants to do something like this to have that plug and play kit type option. So let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, so here's the majority of what would come in the kit. You'd get your controller, a display, battery pack, wiring harness, thumb throttle, and of course the geared hub motor already laced into a wheel. And you just have to basically attach all of this to your bike and plug it in. All the plugs match, it is plug and play. There'd be a couple other things in there too, like a pedal assist sensor if you want it, the brake cutoff switches, a battery charger, maybe a bag to put stuff in on the rear rack, but this is the bulk. These are the main items of what would be in the kit. Now, in my last video, I added it to the Wired Freedom, and I did it on that bike because it already has RST guide forks, which are the forks that you need for this to work. Only forks I've ever found that have been able to handle a geared hub motor. Any other fork I tried, you just break the fork as soon as you hit the gas. So, gotta have RST guide forks. The Freedom has them. Bikes like the Hemingway Cobra have them. So your bike would have to have those. Or you would have to switch, swap on RST guide forks to your bike, and then it would work. So that's what I'm gonna do today. I bought a set of RST guide forks, and I'm gonna swap them onto this bike right here. All right, here's my RST guide forks that I purchased, and I'm gonna add them on to this bike right here, the Aventon Aventure 2. So we'll swap on those forks, and then I'll add my Citizen kit. I think I'm gonna call it the Warp Drive, the Citizen Warp Drive. We'll add that front motor kit onto the front of this bike, and I'll show you the performance difference that you get adding this kit to just, your everyday average 750 watt fat tire e-bike. So let's get these forks changed out. All right, we got the Aventon forks off, and you Aventon owners are a lucky dog. You lucky dog. Wow, I've done 5 or 6 fork swaps. I've never lucked out like this. So the hardest part of swapping out forks is you got to take this ring right off of here. It's called the crown race. You got to remove that because that's what seats into your bearings. You got to take it off the old fork and put it on the new. If you can see right here, this one that's on the Aventon, it's got this little gap in it right there, which is gonna allow this to pop right off of there so easy. Normally I gotta shove like razor blades under here and slowly pry it up and get a screwdriver under there and pry it up. But this one, put the screwdriver right here, boom, look at that, came right up. Wow, so easy. Normally this is like a 15-minute process to get this off, and I just did that in like 3 seconds. Wow, lucky. All we gotta do is slide this down onto the new RST guide fork, and then it'll seat perfectly into our bearings. Slip the fork back in there and we're done. All right, a couple other things I want to show you here. The fork I bought actually came with a star nut already down inside the fork, which is very handy. If you know what I'm talking about, this is a star nut. They look like this, right? And that's what this piece screws into, this cap that goes on top over the handlebar stem, right? Goes down in and screws into this thing. So if the fork you buy doesn't have those, which I don't know if it will or not, some come with them, some don't, you just have to drop one of these down in there, and I usually put it like a screwdriver down through the center of it and whack it down in, and then it won't back out. But you need to have one of those in there, so make sure your fork has got that. And then you can see if I rebuild this now, and I put down on all these Aventon pieces, right, on all these spacers, and now if I put the handlebars on there, there's still going to be post that's still sticking out the top. So this fork tube is a little bit longer than the Aventon one, but no big deal, because you can go on Amazon and for like 10 bucks you can get these extra spacers, right, of varying sizes, and you can just build this up to the height that you need and then put your handlebar on and you're done. So just a couple quick notes: you might need more spacers, you might need a star nut, but we should be able to get this thing rebuilt now. All right, we're all done. We got our RST guide forks swapped on, and myself and others might actually enjoy having this taller handlebar stem. It looks like it lifted it up maybe another, gosh, 2 inches or so higher. So I might actually like that a little bit better, give me more upright ride position. But next step is to take our Aventon wheel and tire, take off the tube and tire and the disc brake, and swap that onto the wheel from my kit. And then we'll be all set to drop this down in the dropouts and get mounting all this other stuff on the bike. All right, we got our wheel down in the dropouts. I'm going to show you how these bolts and washers go on. So there's a thick washer right there between the motor and the frame dropout. The next one that goes on is your torque washer, the one with the little tab on it. So that slides in and it goes in between, gets inside the dropout there. That's what holds this axle in place and keeps it from turning. Next, you're going to put on a big old flat washer like this. This all comes in the kit, actually. All this stuff, all this hardware is included. Put on the axle nut. You see, you got a lot of extra space here, which is good. Sometimes I've done this before, and it's like very, like the motor I bought didn't have the axle that long, and I barely got the nut threaded on there. So you put this axle nut on, and then at the end you'll put on just this cap axle nut. And same exact thing on the other side. I'll spin around here so you can see. Same exact setup. Thick washer, lock washer, or torque washer. Then the big flat one, and then the nut. We'll tighten everything up, and our front wheel is locked in place. All right, we're all set to go. We got our geared hub motor into the front dropouts. The hard part's over. You know, we've switched over the tube, the tire, the disc, and we swapped out the forks. The hard part's done. We're all locked in place, ready to go. We got our motor wire hanging out right here, and all that's left to do is just attach all the rest of the kit. So you've got your controller, your display, a battery, throttle, wiring harness. That's it. So you just basically have to find places to mount these items on your bike. I don't know what your bike's going to look like. If it's going to be the Aventon or a Rad or whatever. So mounting spots might be different for different bikes. On my Citizen bike, I have the controller mounted like under the seat. On the wired, I put it on the back of the rack. For this one, I'm going to do this one pretty quick and dirty because I just want to show you the performance gains from the kit. This kit's not going to stay on this bike. This is my only sample. So I'm going to be taking it off and on, putting it on different bikes. So I'm probably just going to put the battery into the bag, mount the controller like on top of the bag, stretch my wiring harness up to the front, mount my throttle and display, and I'm done. Plug everything in. All the plugs match. It's plug and play. There's no cutting, splicing, soldering, nothing. You just find spots to mount it all, plug it all in, you're good to go. So let's get to attaching things. All right, we're all done. Let's give it a quick test. Works like a charm. All right, she's all done and ready to test out. I did that super fast. It's probably less than an hour to get all this stuff hooked up and even the wheel changed and everything. But all I did was I put the battery inside this rear pack, and then I've got my cable coming from my controller right down in to connect right there to the battery. So controller's just sitting on top of the bag for now. Like I said, this is just a fast job. If I was gonna leave it on this bike permanently, I'd do it a lot nicer than this. I just want to get everything hooked up. So battery in the bag, controller on top. Wiring harness comes down here. All the extra slack from the wiring harness and the motor cable, I just have tied up right here. It comes down underneath the frame. I've got it black taped right here to the underside of the frame. Comes up here, motor wire crosses over and goes down to your motor. On the other side, goes up to your display. Got the display onto a handlebar extender bar up here. All set to go. Our button cluster, our left-hand thumb throttle for the front motor. We're all done. This is a functioning all-wheel drive bike now. So it's time for me to show you what she can do. Okay, so first things first. Number one, the handlebar stem being higher makes this bike even more comfortable. So I really like that. The second thing is I changed my Aventon throttle. This is the bike my wife rides. She hates thumb throttles. So I switched to a twist throttle on this Aventon. This is my Aventon throttle right here. This is the rear wheel. This thumb throttle is the Citizen warp drive kit on the front, right? You can hear it take off nicely. So Aventon throttle, Citizen throttle over here, Citizen display screen, Aventon's regular display. The front motor is its own separate system, right? The kit adds about 15 pounds. You know, you factor in the weight of the motor, all the wiring harness and everything, and the battery, you're getting about 15 pounds of weight added onto your bike. Now it was designed for acceleration and also hill climb power. It doesn't really do anything for your top speed. That is, unless of course your bike doesn't have a very high top speed, because this Aventon, you know, it's a very strict class 3 bike. The throttle will only take you to 25 miles an hour and it cuts out. My motor will actually take you about 32 miles per hour throttle only if you unlock it. It would of course come shipped as class 2, 20 mile an hour. But unlocked, you can get about 31, 32 miles an hour out of just the front motor throttle only. Completely unlocked for off-road use. But I'll show you what I mean by acceleration power. We're going slightly downhill. Here's the Aventon acceleration. Ready? Okay, pretty tame, very controllable, nice gradual build into everything. Let's add in the front motor now. You'll see the acceleration difference. I mean, it won't even keep the wheel. Holy cow. Just a big, huge burnout. There's so much power in that front motor kit because it's a 45 amp controller and a 52 volt battery. You got tons and tons of power, but maybe if I pedal and help it, it won't spin so much. Here we go. Acceleration. Go. Still get a lot of front wheel spin, but what I really like about it though is when you're cruising like this and you need a quick blast of throttle, if you hit the Aventon, you don't really get it, right? But if you're cruising along and you need to scoot through traffic and you hit mine, it kicks in nice. So you get a good burst of throttle, especially if you're over 20. We're going 22. There's no Aventon throttle. It's capped at 20. So I'd be able to punch my throttle and get a burst of speed to scoot out in front of traffic if I wanted. So the front motor gives you a really nice, good kick. So I'm full throttle on the Aventon. Now if I hit the front, you can see the dramatic kick in of the motor. That's kind of what this is designed for, to give you that burst of speed and acceleration when you need it. I'll do it again here. So full throttle on that, punch the front motor. You can see it just kind of pulls you back in the seat. It feels nice on this bike. I like this kit on this bike. Full throttle, front wheel, good blast of power. You can hear it kicking in too. Let's go show you a hill climb with it. All right, so doing this hill climb is going to give you a much more dramatic look at what's happening here. So I'm going to start the hill using just the Aventon throttle. Part way up, I'll push the front kit and you'll see it kick in and the difference it makes for climbing just a hill like this. So let's start out with Aventon. Pretty gradual start there off the line. Now we'll punch the front kit and watch what happens. I mean, it broke loose and spun a little bit. I mean, you went from going like 10 miles an hour to 20 miles an hour. Dramatic hill climb boost. 2 is better than 1 on a hill climb. All right, let's do that again. Aventon, barely getting me off the line. Now punch the front motor. Right up to speed. Wow. I'll let go of the front. Aventon keeping me going, but here we slow down. Punch the front motor. Dig its way out. So hill climb power, that's what I built this for. All right, so why not just buy an all-wheel drive bike? Well, absolutely. If you don't have a bike yet, you know you want all-wheel drive, just go buy all-wheel drives. Yeah, I mean, this would be an aftermarket solution for folks who already have a bike, they like their bike, they just want to make it all-wheel drive. Well, here you go. And it's kind of, like I said, designed in a universal way where you could put this on multiple bikes as long as they've got those forks. You know, I have everything set up separately, separate screen, separate button cluster, separate throttle, separate battery, separate controller, everything's separate. There is a way, I mean, you could combine throttle, combine battery, combine display, right? There's ways to do that, but you know, I can't do that for every single bike on the market. By having it as a separate system, you can just graft it onto any bike with those forks. I kind of like it separate because I find it more fun, easier to drive. I can go rear wheel, and then I can go front wheel, or then I can go both wheel. And there's no flipping, switches, pushing buttons, not knowing which one it's in. You always know. Front, rear, both. It's kind of, I don't know if it's like driving a tank, right? Each hand controls a different wheel, a different track. But I like it, this setup. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Some people said, yeah, it's a great system. Other people are like, no, combine it all. But like I said, combining it all, you're trying to get that to work with every different bike or brand out there would be next to impossible. This way, you can kind of put it on anything you want. All right, let's try to do an acceleration for you here. Get a feel for what this is like. 3, 2, 1, go. Not bad. One more time. I don't have the brake cutoffs hooked up yet, so we still got the ability to do this. All right, let's test out our enhanced hill climb ability. Straight up this slope. Dig this way to the top. Perfect. No problem. All right, one more thing I want to try. I'm going to go in my settings here. I'm going to turn the front motor kit, turn the power down a little bit. I'm going to put it on a slow start to see if that helps with wheel spin. So now we're set to slow start. Let's do another 0 to 20 here. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. That dramatically helped the wheel spin. 20. That really eliminated a lot of wheel spin, actually. That was surprising. Let's try to launch one more time. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh yeah, that helps a lot. Let's keep it in that setting. But you know, the other thing I did not test yet and I need to investigate is how much range adding this kit would actually put onto your bike. If you think about it, this Aventure is, what, 14, 15 amp hour battery pack? I just put a 52 volt, 15 amp hour battery pack into the rear pack for the kit. So I've more than doubled the battery capacity on this bike. What did that do for range? I suppose it's going to depend on how you drive it. If you're using the front all the time, you know, dual motor all the time, if you're going to kind of max out the Aventon and then switch over. But we need to investigate how much range that could potentially add to your bike as well. Another added bonus. So you get acceleration, you get range, you get hill climb power out of it, and fun, definite fun. Just punching that throttle and feeling the surge power. Love it. But I'm finalizing some details on the kit right now. You know, trying to get everything buttoned up, packaging, shipping, all that stuff, and then hopefully get a site set up very soon where I can start taking pre-orders so that everybody that wants a solution like this can get it. I've had a lot of people message me saying, I want this, make it. So I want to see that everybody that wants one can get one. So we'll get them built. I'm going to keep giving you guys status updates as I keep continuing to test my sample kit here, throwing it on different bikes. It's actually really nice on this Aventon. I really like it on here. It fits well. I really like what I did with the handlebars, putting that longer stem on, lifting them up. The Aventon's really comfy as it is, but this is even a little bit more comfortable. But I'll keep everyone informed of the progress as we go here and as we bring this thing to life. So if you haven't hit subscribe button yet, do that so you're informed and notified when new information comes out on this. Let me get it posed here where I can give you another one look at it. I just strapped the battery or the controller right on top of the pack there, but it looks pretty good on there. But I mean, I don't know of any other geared hub motor, front motor solution like this. I've looked for years. People have emailed me for years saying, how'd you do that? Well, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it for you. Right there it is. All right, time to hightail it out of here. Climb on. Aventon takeoff. Motor. Woo, buddy.